guys. And I'd like to start with this slide right here, a little bit of food for thought for you guys. This is, I don't have to explain what this is. This is a word cloud, right? And this is from the Paris Agreement, the COP21 from 2015, right? And the bigger the word appears, so the more times that word appears on the text. As you can see, these guys like parties a lot. Well, of course, it's a different kind of party. But what really appeals to me is that I didn't see the word citizen there. I didn't see the word open. They have transparency. I'll give it that a couple times. I didn't see the word map either. So just a little food for thought with you guys. I don't mean to like badmouth or trash talk the Paris Agreement. They're a great framework. But this is a vehicle, an instrument that written at such a high level that really kind of lacks these elements that we are so used to that really wanted to incorporate in the projects, right? So, having said that, I invite you to read the agreement. It's very entertaining reading. Turning hot official in Sarapiquí, Costa Rica, and Jarabacoa, Dominican Republic. And by official, what do I mean? Is something official, something that was written in politics 20 years ago and it's kept in someone's drawer and nobody knows what to do with it? Or is something official that is not written anywhere but it's being used by institutions, in this case local governments? So I think it's a gray zone. Officiality is really a gray zone, right? If just go by the word official, it comes from the word office. So if it's used in an office, in this case an administrative office, then I suppose it is official, right? So basically looking at the amazing hot tools and OpenStreetMap technology to do this. And it's just, I'm going to explain to you two different approaches, one that took place in Costa Rica and one took place in the Dominican Republic, in order to encourage local governments to update these tools and incorporate them in their daily operations, right? So for you OSM tagging fans, this tag doesn't exist yet, but I think it should be there. Inspiration equals Benin. This guy, Nicolas Chavin, I don't think he's here, but this kind of stuff really inspires me when I go online and I see SEAL hackers and social entrepreneurs doing this kind of stuff. That's when people ask, where do you get inspiration? I get inspiration from people like this. I get inspiration from Hot as well. You guys have done a tremendous job in Indonesia. So I don't even know how you guys have been able to do that in Indonesia, so kudos, great work. And just talking about what tools in the OSM ecosystem we have been trying to implement, just talking about 3 tools. We're trying to keep it simple, at least at the beginning. And well, the hot tasking manager, of course, is like a very helpful tool that we have been using. The ID editor, as opposed to JOSM. At the beginning, I started with JOSM, but it got too complicated for like beginner mappers, and sometimes you end up, working with people who, very limited knowledge of the Windows environment even. So like jumping directly into JOSM was kind of a challenge. So that's why we tried with ID. And then oftentimes you would have to, talk to people who were not technology savvy at all, who didn't know anything about cell phones or computers. I'm sure you guys have encountered that. So field papers is great. But the knowledge, the geospatial knowledge that these people have in their minds is super valuable. So never underestimate it. They're able to like put on print and with a sheet of paper and with a pen. Amazing information there. So let's go to the Costa Rican case. This is what I would call a bottom-up approach, always thinking from the local government perspective. For you guys, geotaggers or tagging fans of OSM, we're looking at admin_level equals 6 units in the OSM database. Those are the units that we are looking at right now, okay? So you have the country, which are like number 2. Admin level number 2, you have like, in the states you have states, right? That's number 4, and then that's the second unit. Would be county in the United States. Here, I think would be municipality, right? In Costa Rica, we call them cantones, which means like cantons. And in the Dominican Republic, they call them municipios, right? So you have to navigate your way around these kind of like terms and know that you're looking at a tertiary level administrative unit, the one that is closest to the citizens, right? So from the local government's perspective, I call this a bottom approach. because it's the local government reaching out for help. And in this case, NGO, that's the Fundecor, it's the NGO that I used to work for back in Costa Rica. I don't work for them anymore, I support them. But they had a really close relationship, so they reached out to us because there is a situation of vulnerability against, in situations of flooding. So this area is located in the convergence of really huge rivers. So when it rains a lot, there is like recurrent flooding. So everybody knows it's happened, it's going to happen, and it will continue to happen. But people don't do anything, right? So if you follow the lines, then from the NGO, we were able to like partner up with the municipality. That was said when I was there. We reached out to Trust. Trust, it's actually one of the operational arms of the Organization of American States. And they thanks to the Open Government Partnership, which is the framework that we are like kind of, we explored in this first bottom-up approach, they were granting $5,000 mini grants to different open government projects. Projects that would encourage the participation of civil society in partnership with a government organization to develop like open government projects. So by open, that's right there your first hint. You can grab that tool if your country, I'm sure Canada is, but if you come from any other country, check the Open Government Partnership. There's a bunch of countries, there's I think like 70-something countries that already pledged participation, and they already have indicators, and they just, they first started with like digital government and sort of like easing paperwork and going digital, but they're really, really eager to like listen and talk about projects that have to do with open data as well. So this kind of relationship, in my opinion, sort of like gravitates around this factor that is money. Why? Because when you work in a local government or an NGO with limited resources, so you need some cash, literally, for you to be able to kick off to like start these projects, right? Otherwise, it's really, really hard. Okay. So that's my first recommendation right there. Try to kickstart this, get some money, and get the ball rolling, right? So what did we do in Startup Kit? This is like the better structured case. Once then you have the attention of the donor, you have the local government, then you can like high level propose a project. That's not the name of the project yet, but you just can approach them and just go like, this is going to be a project for open government promotion in Costa Rica, or for project open government promotion wherever, right? And do take advantage of the wiki in OpenStreetMap. Take ownership of the admin level 6 wiki of that page and just own it. Just put everything you want in there. Who is editing, what tools are you using, hyperlinks to the features that you have been mapping, and organize events. Just get the ball rolling, and have them take a look at that wiki, which is a really easy way for them, like administrative officials, officials everywhere. They just want to, make a few clicks and see results and do stuff. They don't want to go online and download data and do this complicated stuff. So when you get the slides, I'm sure you'll get them. You can go to this wiki and you'll see everything is like super easy for them with them. And like 3 clicks, you can see data, right? We were able to structure the floating zones. Oh, this is an object that's called flood_prone equals yes for the database, and buildings as a relation. So that was the first time in the database that I see that someone did that. So if you click on the relationship, you see like the floating zone, and then you see what buildings are inside that floating zone, right? So check that out. And then once you have the go, once you have the funds, then just set up a project. In this case, we just have like 3 phases. One first phase in which, we had the big flooding event of July of 2015, and we look at the map and we're like, well, this is pretty empty. We need to work on this map a little bit more, right, on the base map. So let's do something about it. Let's do some mapathons here and there. In the second phase, we were more specific about like the data collection. So we were basically aiming at flood-prone polygons and buildings, right? Because that's what we were interested in. And then in the third phase, we were trying to position the project in more binding instances. So in the case of Sarapiquí in Costa Rica, there is this committee. It's called the the Municipal Emergency Committee, and they hold a monthly meeting, and then that's where we position the tools, right? So everybody's there, Everybody who is supposed to take care of this municipality, when something, a disaster happen, they know the tools are there. So you start like showing them what's happening, go to the wiki. There are guys in these places doing this mapping. For instance, well, these field papers came from those experiences of the flooding of 2015. And then this was from emergency response people who Red Cross and police who responded to the emergency. And these are 4 different field papers from the Puerto Viejo area. As you can see, it's basically the same object replicated on 4 different field papers. So you start right away doing some ground truth. Okay, if 4, 5, 6 sources tell you more or less the same, I'm not going over to some university to ask them to do some hydrological modeling, super complex mathematical thing. We can do that later or something, but for the time being, we need a flood-prone area. And then the second element that we needed was, and then we can put that on the map or whatever, so they can do it, and then put it in the wiki as well. And then you just organize a map of them. In this case, we were really lucky to partner up with a local university and had this like geo chapter, something similar to what they were explaining in the Colombia case. So these guys were like animal mappers. They were amazing. This mapathon was incredible because only in a matter of like 6 hours, we were able to digitize over 8,000 buildings in that area. Okay, so now we have the 2 grids. We have the flood zone, the flood area, the flood prone areas, and we have the buildings. And with some real simple map algebra, you can start counting, where are the homes that are like actually exposed according to the experience of the first aid responders, people who were there like literally responding to the tragedy. So in this case, this place called Estero Tres Rosales, we literally found 9 buildings exposed. And in the Roble, 9 buildings exposed right there. In Bajos de Chilamate, 57 buildings, and then you can go and click on the hyperlink when you get there, and you'll go to the relation. And it'll be really simple for them to see it, right? It's like you don't expect these guys to go and to, I'm sorry for OpenStreetMap, I love it and everything, but they don't go to learnosm.org and they learn how to do it. You have very few people doing that. You have to serve them on a tray the results of what's happening so they can uptake it, right? El Tigre, over 87 buildings identified. And then when we were showing this, the same here and the same there, when we were showing this stuff at the municipal council, right? They were just going like, whoa, this is great, so what do we do now? So I asked the vice mayor who supported the project, so are you guys going to continue to give construction permits there as such? And she looks at me and just goes like, don't ask me these questions in front of all these people. This is so awkward. Yeah, I suppose not, but I don't know what to do, just don't ask me, right? So it's a great way to get these institutions, these local governments, pumping, flowing, doing something different, get them out of their comfort zone, right? So that was what we did in Sarapiquí, and then that was like, we presented this in different places, and then the Dominicans show up. How did they show up? Because, well, they liked when they were presented the Sarapiquí case, and then they reached out to us, touched our shoulder, right? I was with the NGO always, and it's like, we want this. And that's what I call the top-down approach, right? The thing is already done, and then from up in the sky, someone comes and goes like, I like that. I want that as well. So how did we manage to structure that? Well, the framework, and this is a top-down, because always looking from the local government's perspective, it's a top-down thing, right? So there's basically, the framework that we looked at, the UNFCCC, and they have a mandate to to develop the SDG 13 climate action. They know they need to take action, climatic action. When you go to the multilateral donor, in this case, South Costa Rican Corporation, they partner with the Dominican Republic as the receiver of the corporation, Costa Rica as the transmitter, and Spain as the donor. They didn't know what to do. Most often you will see in developed nations, these kind of multilateral instances kind of clueless about climate action. They just, all they have as their reference point is that freaking agreement. I mean, I don't blame them. Why they don't understand what are the next steps? What is there to do, to actually get this going, to get the ball rolling? So these guys, what they do, the multilateral donor, what they do is that they engage with NGOs, with other government organizations and with civil society members. In this case, we were supported by German corporation as well, GIZ, and the Ministry of the Environment of Costa Rica, and also the NGO I was with. And they sort of like set up, okay, we're going to go ahead and try to do this same thing in Jarabacoa, which is this municipality in the Dominican Republic that has exactly the same problem, except it's higher up in the mountains. It's not your sexy, quintessential Dominican beach town. It's up in the mountains. So it's kind of hidden, pretty underdeveloped. And they have the same situation, right? They have like a convergence of huge rivers, and then when it rains a lot, just the whole town floods, and everybody knows it's going to happen. And it's happened. But the funny thing is that with this kind of setup, they don't really have money. When you ask them, so let's sit down, how much money do we have to do this? And they were like, oh, no, I don't have money. I'm like, what? I don't have money? What's up with that, right? What they have is labor. The factor that they have is labor. They can pledge time, resources, infrastructure from different institutions for you to be able to accomplish this. And that's a tricky part, but these are what I call the treacherous waters, because it can get complicated. There is, normally you won't even have like a letter of agreement, something very light, much less a contract or something. So you can navigate these waters, just be very careful with the engagement that you get from the top institutions, because they're like deer. If you move too fast, you scare them away, right? So if you are super proactive or something, you're going to scare them away. Someone's going to be, oh man, that guy looks they look too proactive. They don't want to go that fast, right? That was kind of the impression. But at the end, we got some work done. But because I left the NGO I was with, they were like, okay, thank you, Julio. We'll call you or something. And we're like, hey, let's resume the work. Who's going to do it? It's like we left the work undone in the Dominican Republic. We only did a little bit of it. And we did the same thing. In this case, we just, what we did is the project we presented as a climate resilience capacity building in the Dominican Republic, created a wiki, had a workshop. Most of these people were municipal workers with very little experience using computers, by the way. We set up two really basic phases. The first one was like, all right, let's see how is OpenStreetMap here. And then the second phase is unconfirmed. But we were able then to at least get a mapathon going out there without money, guys. This is without money. We trained some people to collect the field papers right on the riverbed, right there we were. And we were able to do 627 buildings that day with that amount of people, which is not so bad. And just one flood-prone zone area. Just remember, it can be hazard type flood, or it can be flood-prone equal, yes. And that's where it stopped. That's when they said, okay, thank you. We'll review our actions and further activities or whatever. So these are the treacherous waters. So just to wrap up some lessons and recommendations, bottom up, top down, or any other way you guys know, the job needs to get done, basically, right? There are lots of admin level 6 out there who require this. That's why I emphasize, I can't insist enough. There are just waiting for these initiatives to be put in front of their eyes so they can use it. Bottom-up engagement tends to be less treacherous than top-down, of course, especially when it comes to dealing with politically appointed characters. These politically appointed characters will often want to be in the picture, get the claps, and then disappear. So just be weary, just sort of manage it, right? Work as hard as you can to earn the local government's trust. They are your most important ally in this journey. So if you have their trust, if you know someone there and they know that you work, they'll probably come back to you because they like it, right? So earn their trust, be close to them. When in local government, look for progressive leaderships, out-the-box thinkers, or administrative champions. If you can find all three in one individual, I dare you, make a proposal, all right? And that's what I've got for you guys today. Check.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Yes.
I'll just go off the deep end. You're talking about money, exchanging money between individuals, developing countries. conversation of cryptocurrency ever come into the mix?
Oh no, that's super interesting. I would love to learn more about that. Cryptocurrency, I think, would be a great thing to put on the table. But
Especially as you have money flowing from government through NGOs, potentially to local people in the field.
Not at all. I mean, we barely get ID editor done, man, with these guys. So cryptocurrency would be fantastic, but yeah, I would have to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good one. Any other questions? Anybody has anything to share?
It's just the issue of getting incentive, like how you motivate local people. Was there anything that worked particularly well, or didn't work in university?
Exactly. Working with
something. Is there maybe a
Incentivize.
The question is, is there a local OSM community that is slowly emerging out of this exercise that see the value of providing information?
So the question is how to incentivize individuals or stakeholders to get involved with the mapping and with the rest of it, right? Well, it's hard. We have an incipient OSM community in Costa Rica. Few members, very active ones, but few members. And in the Dominican Republic, the community is so reduced. It's not even funny. It's really like, they are like pebbles of gold, really. You find them, which is kind of paradoxical because you're next to Haiti, right? One of the most, like the better mapped OSM mapped countries in the world. And there's just like this, the border between these two countries that share the same island is just this huge vacuum where information and nothing really goes from one end. And who would have thought that maybe the Haitians could teach something to the Dominicans, right? So in that sense, I'm going to say I reached out to universities, and for that purpose, you can reach out to Mike Thompson. He's not here, but he's with the OSM community in Colorado, and I learned a lot from him. I roomed with him once, actually, in one event, and he's an expert at engaging university students with OSM. One of the big perks of engaging university students with OSM is that most likely you will like show them OSM what they are studying, what they are learning when they graduate, and afterwards they're going to use it as well. So it's a really safe bet. It's a really good thing to do. And thanks to the municipality has its tentacles in the territory. You have to take advantage of that. And what we did is that we reached out to first aid responders because they were working there, man. You know, they were like with like the water sucking up to their necks, and they don't want this to happen. They saw the tragedy, so they're most likely they'll be encouraged or like motivated to help. And we also reached out to people whose houses were flooded, and we were like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Are you interested? They're like, sure, let's do this, man. We don't want this. Like they felt what it's like to to have the water in their houses. But it's an ant's work basically, just to go there, knock on doors, see who. I'm gonna say universities. The first universities, second OSM community, and third the tentacles of London.
If there's another question, I can.
All right.
I just wonder, what was the name of the university in Costa Rica?
UNED, Universidad Nacional Estatal a Distancia, which is the distance kind of university. They are outstanding. I love them. I have a little context. Costa Rica.
Can you briefly describe the workflow with your worksheets? I saw that there is a 2D barcode on there. How did you produce them? What were they used for? And how did you end up using them?
Yeah. Okay, these are 4 different field papers of the same scenario. This is like downtown Puerto Viejo, Sarapiquí. And that's like the best imagery we could get back in the day. Right now we have the digital globe premium imagery, which works really fine. But back in the day, this was in like September 2015, we only had this imagery. I think that was big. If you see, it's a little cloudy, but this is just basically the same sheet of paper provided by 4 different sources. And you can see at least like this area right here is where the road was completely blocked by the flooding, and that's like it's happening in all 4 documents, right? This person was not as explicit with like the flooding here, but then the other sources were quite accurate. So you just come up with like a sort of like, it's hard to describe. You have to be very creative with this. But when you have like all the geometries put together against the map, you can easily like import with the QR. If you have used field papers, you can import it into ID, okay? And then you just draw the polygon, but don't save it. Import the other one and just sort of like adjust The polygon,
Okay.
so you have like a better adjustment polygon, right? Which kind of like, and then you show it to the communities, you show it to the authorities right there, and they go like, yeah, that looks about right. Oh, let's do it. You know, not waiting for the university to run hydrological modeling. It'll be nice, but it's gonna take forever. So this is not really that workflow. It's the same field paper provided by 4 different sources.
Okay, great, thanks.